way. Hello, this is Inside the Press Box with Sunil Sunder Raj for the Everyday Fan Sports. I'm happy today to be speaking with Chuck McBreen, the head coach of the Ramapo College, New Jersey men's basketball team. Coach McBreen, again, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to speak with me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I enjoy being, on the show.
Hey, your 24th season, coach, said there at Ramapo College, the Roadrunners men's basketball team we were talking about before we came on the air, it said, not being able to play, said last season was, definitely said a major setback. But, I wanted to talk to you about this season. You alluded to the fact off air, how, said young this team is. You only returned 5 players and just breaking it down, 5 upperclassmen, 5 sophomores, 11 freshmen. It said you definitely have your work cut out this season, Coach McBreen.
It's been a rough go. Not being able to play really set the program back. I feel like I'm starting all over in '98, building my program from ground zero. It's not something that I think can't be done, but it's going to be quite a challenge. When I took that challenge in '98, I was 33 years old. Now I'm given the same task at 24 years later, and it's not as easy a challenge at this stage of the game. But I'm not saying it can't be done, but we have one guy who played minutes. We have 2 guys that are back in the program that didn't play at all. And then 1 or 2 other guys that played a little bit in Mark Howell and Manny Warren, who transferred into the break. So these 11 freshmen and the sophomores, they're going to get thrown to the wolves this year. And I think it's going to be a rough go for us. And I wish the college would have just been able to let us play last year, I think these kids would have learned the philosophy, the system, and got their feet wet. And I think they would have been able to go home in May after they got let out of school and been able to really work on their body, physicality, and the things that needed to play in the NJAC. And as a result, they weren't able to do those things. So I think it's going to be a tough go. And what we're going to do every day is just work as hard as we can, try to improve each day, and see where that takes us. I know if this young group stays together, just like the Final Four team built to what it did, I think this group has talent and all. And if they stay with it, they're patient and, buy into the process, I think down the road, they're going to be very good.
Let's talk about, said your returning players led by Marquise Kindle, who, made significant, contributions, 2 seasons ago, Coach McBreen. Can you just talk about, so far here, training camp, preparing for the season, how Marquise has looked out there? Just if we can talk about that.
Yeah, Marquise, he's another one based on the pandemic. He took the year off. He wasn't even in school. So Marquise started his own company. He got out of school. He said, if I'm not going to be able to play basketball, I'm going to start a company. And he started a company and he wasn't even here. So he wasn't even playing basketball. I don't know how much he was playing pickup or anything, but now we're fortunate to get him back. He's the captain. He's the leader. He's the guy that played the most of anybody that we have back. Mm-hmm. So I need him. I need consistency out of him. I need leadership out of him. I need a bunch of things out of him. In all, he definitely has what it takes to play in this conference. He's proven that already. Yeah. So, we're going to rely on Marquise for a lot of things. And, probably the biggest one is to provide leadership to these younger kids and show them the strength, the toughness, the physicality, and things that you need to get by in the NJAC.
Yeah, it's not easy replacing, guys like Rob McWilliams, Keyshawn Barnes, and, Rob Lewis. I mean, again, who all 3 said, talk about on and off the court, but especially on the court, said, the numbers that they put up, Coach McBreen.
Yeah, so anytime you have guys that have had success in the program individually and collectively as a team, once you lose those guys, normally what make good programs stay good over such long time is stability, where you have like maybe 3 or 4 kids in each class, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. And then if you lose 3 or 4 seniors, you still have 12 or 13 guys that are in that culture. And when you bring in the new 3 or 4 guys, you're only teaching the culture and the system to 3 or 4 guys. That is not the case here right now. We are teaching the system to everybody, and there is no culture left from the winning other than really Marquise, Marcal, and Manny Warren played one semester. So, I mean, this is a whole brand new start. And it's been, I use the terminology, you got to take baby steps, before you could start to run and all. We're not even at baby steps. We're crawling. We're crawling, and we're only 20 practices in, and we're crawling. And I'm hoping that we can advance to, walking and all before long, because if not, it's really going to get ugly. And then what happens is people, when adversity hits, you really see people's true character revealed, and how a lot of these guys come from winning programs and are not used to losing, just like we're not used to losing. But losing becomes contagious, and finger point starts. So we have a lot of stuff in front of us, and we're hoping to get out of the gate with a couple of wins and try to build something that's contagious the right way and get guys to understand what it takes to win, and hopefully get back to the culture that we've had. And then that becomes contagious as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's just talk about the New Jersey Athletic Conference preseason rankings. Said pick sixth in the conference. Coach McBreen, Jersey City and Stockton were tied for first, I believe. Just talk about the conference overall, and what it said you see out of the other teams in terms of just.
Well, first I would like to say that the people that picked this, I was wondering if maybe Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles picked this, putting us sixth, because we haven't played in 2 years, and I don't even know if these people even know what we have. I think they're just going on our tradition and reputation.
Yeah.
Like right now, we're not a playoff team. I would pick us like 9th or 10th, like at the end of the day, how they got us in the playoffs. If we can make the playoffs, I would do cartwheels and handstands and backflips and be ecstatic. But right now, I think that the goal is to win on Wednesday. And like I know I talk in cliche a lot of times, but right now we're only trying to go 1-0 on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I can't even look at the other 24 games. But as far as the other teams go, I think they got it right. Obviously, Stockton blew a 20-point lead in that asterisk type of season of 8 games in all. And Jersey City has shot at the buzzer. They have everybody coming back and added some pieces, and Stockton's got everybody back. So I would consider those two the favorites, just like they picked it. I was very surprised Rowan did not play last year, but they picked them third. Although they have a lot back from the year when they last played. So I could see that. TCNJ has been a factor in our conference, for a number of years since Matt Goldschmidt's taken over.
Yeah.
So they have them up at the top. Although they did lose Jocelyn, he could have come back. He decided to go play overseas. So I think that will hurt them a little bit. So they moved down a little bit. The team that I think could be up a little bit higher is Montclair. They had a good year last year, and they had a lot of newcomers that learned the system that I wish we could have done the same. And I think they're going to be up there and be a factor. Their style of play, playing a lot of guys, pressing the whole game, trapping, and getting out on a break, running, shooting a three is a very effective style that's worked for us in the past. So I think they're going to be a factor. And then I think that last playoff spot, Rutgers Newark has some experience, although they did lose Barney's. They have some experience. I think they're going to be a factor in that, last playoff spot. I watched Kane last night dismantle Purchase by 40. I think they're a much improved team. They got 2 transfers in, Latrell West and a kid from Bayonne who was at Division I Manhattan. His name starts with an S. I forgot how to say it and all. I think it's Strazala and all. And he's very good. And I was very impressed with them. So they're going to be a factor. And I really don't know much about William Patterson and Camden right now. So, it's going to be, I really think the top 7 teams in the NJAC or 8 teams are going to be very good fight for those 6 spots. And I don't know at this stage whether to characterize my team as one of those teams. It's it's going to be a learning process, and we're going to take one day at a time.
Yeah. I know you're, fully concentrated on this season. Tomorrow's opener against Sarah, Lawrence College. But I had to ask you, Coach McBreen, saying your 24th year, and I just, one of the facts that numbers that stood out, was that Ramapo College, the men's basketball team, has been one of the winningest programs in 4-year college basketball programs in the state of New Jersey, Division 1, 2, or 3. I'm wondering, being able to establish, said that consistency, that winning track record, year after year. I mean, it takes a lot of hard work. Said I had to ask you that as you enter your 24th year, just, what that means to you personally, Coach McBreen. I said you're in the Ramapo College Athletics Hall of Fame as well. I mean, there's so many, accolades and accomplishments, but just what, what that means to you and what comes to your mind, Coach McBreen.
It's amazing because Ramapo was not a basketball school before I got here. They only had a couple of winning seasons in school history. Yeah. And now since I've been here, we only have a couple of losing seasons. Yeah. But it all started with changing the culture here, getting kids. You got to get kids that have skill, but you got to get high character kids with a positive attitude and humility. And that's the start and the foundation of a winning culture. And once you can put those kids together and then have a balance in each class of freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, you can maintain that winning and that success over a long period of time because you're only losing a few guys. This is a very unique situation of how many guys we've lost and because of a pandemic that has kind of derailed the Roadrunners, or else I think we would have continued on the same path that we were. But I'm very proud of what we've accomplished. It's been amazing. We got 10 NCAA berths. We got Final Fours, Final Eights, Sweet 16s. We've got, people don't realize, but we have 14 championships. People know about the 5 NJAC postseason championships, but we've won 7 regular season and 2 ECAC. So this is my 24th season. We did not play last year. So theoretically, I've only coached 22 years here. And in those 22 years, we've won some form of a championship 14 times. Yeah. It's almost 2/3 of the time that these kids get to experience a championship. So I just think it's a great credit to these kids and to be part of it, to win 14 championships and have the success that we have. Has just been an amazing ride for me, and I hope to continue it. I'm far from done yet. I have, I have time left, and I have, knock on wood, hopefully my health stays good. I just went through a hip replacement 3.5 weeks ago, so getting ready for this season as I'm hobbling along on the court wasn't the easiest thing, but I'm coming around now pretty good, and I'm looking forward to the season. But trying to build something with these young kids, and really the biggest thing is I need from them is patience and to stay together. Because if they do both of those things, I think we'll get this thing back on the right track in due time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I know you demand, the highest out of your players, Coach McBreen. That is evident, definitely in the practices and the games on the sidelines there. Just a couple more from you. I said, looking at the administration athletic departments, quite a bit of changeover, or turnover this year. With it said Harold Crocker, said retiring, it said interim AD Jen Kozlowski, and then new president Dr. Cindy R. Jebb. I just wanted to ask you about that transition and just how that is panning out so far. It said for you, Coach McBreen.
Well, for me, the transition with the athletic director has been very smooth because Jen Kozlowski was a colleague of mine for many years here. And he kind of understood what we needed. I think the time was right for Harold Crocker to retire. The pandemic, I think he did a great job in his early years. He was only here, I don't know if it was 5 or 6 years, whatever it may be, but he did a good job. And then the pandemic hit. And I think it just, all the things that are involved with this pandemic and all the changing of laws every day, CDC and the World Health Organization and state, you have so many different variables that are in play, and always having to update our documentation and what we do here and everything else. And I think it just wore him out. And at the end, it just took its toll on him, and it was time for him to go. So a breath of fresh air in the department is not a bad thing. I think actually it's a good thing. And I think Jan Kozlowski is going to do a great job. As far as our president, Jeb, she comes from West Point, so her background is unbelievable.
Mhm.
I think she knows what it takes to be successful at every level, and I think she's going to do a great job. It's just a matter of we've been hit so hard by this pandemic that she's got to see where we're at as an institution financially, and all, and then see what she can do to get our feet back on the ground and running. Because a lot of places I've been hearing, I know some colleges have closed down. I've been hearing colleges are hurting for money financially.
Mhm.
I would imagine we fall into that criteria, strictly because we had over the last 3 or 4 semesters hardly anybody living on this campus because school was virtual. Why
Yeah.
would you pay for room and board, risk getting COVID if you were going to take the class in your dorm anyway on a computer? So our numbers, we normally have between 2,500 and 3,000 students on campus. We were only having about 400 or 500 kids. That's revenue lost, room and board revenue lost. You do the math, it's over $7,000 or 7,500 for room and board. If you're only filling up 500 beds and leaving 2,500 of them empty, 2,500 times 7,000, you do that math. And you do that math for 3 or 4 semesters, and you figure out how much money and revenues lost.
Yeah.
And it's not just Ramapo. This is nationwide.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure this out like most institutions as well. If anybody can figure it out, I think Dr. Jeb will, because she's a highly intelligent human being coming from a great academy like West Point. So, I mean, I'm excited about what the future holds with her as a president. And I think if we give Jan Kozlowski, we remove the interim tag and give him the job, I'm excited to work underneath him or alongside of him as a colleague, which I have for the last 20 years. So I think those 2 moves were exciting and very good for our institution.
It's great. Hey, I didn't want to forget about your assistant coaches, Coach McBreen. You know, I said Trevor Williams, Stephen Shepard. Can you talk about? I said they've been with you. You know, said for a while. Can you just talk about them?
Well, first, before I talk to them, we had a big loss because my top assistant, my associate head, got a high school job, Pat Gabriel,
Okay.
and he was my guy.
Yeah.
He's been with me the longest, probably
Yeah.
about 15 years,
Okay.
and very knowledgeable, hardworking, loyal. I mean, just a tremendous asset to our program.
Yeah.
And he just got an opportunity where he's going to make so much more money. He's got his master's and then some. He was going to be an AD, but then this offer came along. They kind of pursued him,
Mhm.
and he's going to make so much money in this job as a head high school coach that I don't even think he's going to pursue any AD job anytime soon, because they can't pay what he's going to get paid between camps, clinics, coaching job, and everything else at Demorest. He's at Northern Valley Demorest, and it's just he's got 2 daughters, one that's 6th grade and one that's a freshman in high school. He's going to have to pay for their education. So this
Mhm.
was a career move that was going to help him down the road and his family. And obviously he has my blessing, but it's a tremendous loss.
Yeah.
Now, getting back to Trevor Williams, Trevor's now been with me either 6 or 7 years, done a tremendous job. I'm thankful that he's still here. Steve Shepard's kind of taking a step back from it, so he's only going to do, you know, certain things. He's not going to be involved in the entire process of everyday basketball at Ramapo. So really, we only have one guy back in full swing, and that's Trevor.
Yeah.
And we're in transition right now. We've hired 2 guys that I think are going to be good. Brandon Bird and Aiden Cole are
Okay.
2 new assistants that have never been at the college level. So they're just getting their feet wet.
Yeah.
And then I'm also trying to hire one of my former AD's sons who worked at West Point on the women's side and Central Connecticut in Division I on the women's side. And now he's available. I'm trying to get Jason Marshall right now. My former boss that hired me here was Gene Marshall. And I think he'd be a tremendous, he played for me, was a captain for me, won a couple of championships here. And I think he'd be a tremendous asset to the program. So we're working on that right now. And then if we're able to pull that off, I think my staff will be set and then we'll be okay moving forward.
Okay. Just a couple more, Coach McBreen. I wanted to ask you, it said amazing facilities, said there at Ramapo College, especially with the Bradley Center. I wanted to ask you, said just what makes that place, said that facility so unique. I mean, great, said you talk about strength and conditioning. I mean, that plays another important role, in terms of preparing for a season. I wanted to ask you just, I mean, I said there've been plenty of special moments at the Bradley Center. I said in your 24 years. So, I said, I just wanted to, ask you about that.
Yeah, the Bradley Center is an amazing place. I mean, we spent almost 30 million on this facility to go Division One, and then when the new president came in, Gene Marshall and Rodney Smith were behind getting this building up and going and moving to the Northeast Conference with FDU, Sacred Heart, and those teams, St. Francis, Brooklyn, and PA, and so forth. But the new president just didn't want to commit the money, and so we got the building, but not the move. And as a result, we probably have one of the top Division III facilities in the nation in Division III.
Yeah.
It would have been one of the top facilities in the Northeast Conference Division I if we would have made the move. And also, I've been blessed. Didn't know when I took the job in '98 that we were getting this, but we opened it in 2004, and we've been here ever since. Mm-hmm. So, like you said, we've had a lot of great moments. I think what it does when our players step on the floor for practice and games every day, it's kind of an energizer, strictly because when we go on the road, they get to see locker rooms and facilities that just can't compare. And when they come back, they get to appreciate how great our place is. And every day that I cross those lines and step onto the court, it's an energizer for me, should be an energizer for them. It's a blessing, and it's an appreciation for us that we have, one of the top probably 5 facilities in the nation. Yeah. So it's just been great to play in it, to practice in it. And then it even becomes better when we are going good and we can pack the place. The energy in the building is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. Obviously, you've been in those NJAC moments and NCAA moments. And, people don't realize, like, they see, like, Duke and Kentucky, and they pack the place, and they bum rush the floor. Yeah. We're just a scaled down version of that. We still get the crowd noise when that place is rocking and you have 2,000 people, the noise bouncing off the walls and the environment. And then you saw it when we beat Jersey City on a half-court shot by Tom Bonham, my All-American. They bum rush the floor. It's no different at our level. It's just a scaled-down version. Yeah. The noise is the same for the size of the building, and also at the end of the day, when we pack the Bradley Center, it's no different than when these big-time schools pack their place and have the noise. We have the same noise, and the place is rocking, and it's just an incredible environment to play in.
No, I agree. Hey, I wanted to ask you a typical, work day for you, and then, game day itself, preparing, set for, said tip off, what those moments are like for you, Coach McBreen, and just, walk everyone, just, what, that work entails, said for you.
So, we come to the Bradley Center, meaning myself, on the day of a game, and you got to get yourself in the right mind. You got to prepare. There's things that got to be done. And because it's Division III, you don't have the resources and the people to do it. It's not like I have my assistants. They're at a full-time job during the day before they ever get here. So if we're tipping off at 7:30, they're more than likely not getting here till 6 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I'm getting here in the morning in a regular day, and I got to start getting, stat sheets ready. I got to get video ready. I got to get scouting report ready for our guys. We got to go through a walkthrough later on in that afternoon, a shoot around and a walkthrough with our players. We got to make sure that they have their pregame meal. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it, and there's only one. I'm a one-man show. It's a one-man show that makes sure that every part of this operation is up and running and that we're prepared for that game that day. And then it's after that, after we get through the walkthrough and shoot around, it's now last minute preparation. My coaches start to come back into the building. Our guys went and got something to eat after shoot around, and they're coming back into the building. And now it's preparation for the game. Now we're trying to lock in mentally. Everybody's got their own music and their own different things that they do and all. I try to get off on my own or in the staff locker room with my assistants to just break away what the players listen to and what I listen to. are just two different things. I mean, today's music is not for me, so I'm gonna listen to my stuff back from the 70s and 80s and get my mind right. We're gonna get in the staff locker room and talk, about what we have to do, different scenarios that might take place in the game, and be ready for them and all. And then it's a matter of getting into the locker room, having our pregame talk and trying to get these kids motivated to go, and then go over last minute things that we've already discussed in our practices leading up and in the walkthrough and shoot around that day. And then now it's time to take the floor for warmups and get ready to go. And you have to be focused. You got to get your guys focused. We got to be focused as a staff, and hopefully we left no stone unturned and we're ready to go. And then now we'll see if the fruits of our effort, in preparation are well worth what we put into it. Are we getting out of it what we put into it? And going 1-0 on game day, if we go 1-0, then we got out of it what we put into it. If we don't go 1-0 on game day, then we got to get back to the drawing board and figure out how we can work harder to get better so that we don't lose going forward.
Yeah. Before I get to, what the moment is, for definitely a season opener, I had to ask you another important component is the, balancing out that role as a student athlete as well. Academics, I said is, a priority, a high priority, especially at Ramapo College. Can you just, speak to that as well, Coach McBreen?
Well, us being one of the top academic schools in the state, probably in our conference only behind TCNJ, we pride ourselves in academics, and we pride ourselves in our players, being model citizens in the community. So, we try to balance. I try to, at this level, we usually practice only for 2 hours. Some people have a facility and space to go more. We have, a team practicing on the front side of us and a team practicing on the back side. And due to our space and our training, our trainers and stuff, we only get 2 hours. So, then we got to get our kids time to get in the weight room. We lift 3 days a week for an hour. So basketball related activity on a 24-hour day is only about 3 hours. There's some days that we have study hall and they have to study and stuff. But most of the time, the rest of those hours are on their own. And I tell my kids, even if I take up 4 hours of your time, if you can't figure out in 20 hours how to get sleep, how to study, how to go to class, how to have a social life and balance those things, I'm giving you 20 hours of time each day. I'm taking 4 hours of your time. You have to be able to figure it out. Kids that figure it out well succeed, are extremely successful. The ones that struggle with figuring it out or trying to put too many hours in bad places end up struggling, in the overall. Yeah. I don't think at all level. Division I's a different animal. Okay. Our guys, one of the things I try to tell them too is we only get 2 hours. So I think they need to get some gym time during the course of the day when they're not in class, get down, get some shots up, work on some different things in the gym. And I expect kids to get down here, several days a week, 3 or 4 days a week for an extra hour, an hour and a half to get those things in. I can't do a lot of individual improvement stuff during the season because you just don't have enough hours of practice.
Yeah. My final two questions. Actually, I wanted to ask you about the schedule because, I said in previous years, of course, before, pre-pandemic, you would go out to Vegas, Las Vegas to play in tournaments. I mean, you're going down to, I think, Arlington, Virginia, to play in a tournament. But I think that's it, this year. I just had to ask you about that quickly, Coach McBreen.
So we were a national program trying to play national competition. We had one of the best strength schedules in the country. Yeah. And we were looking to play the best because we wanted to be the best. And in order to be the best, we have to beat better teams or teams as good as us that are ranked as high as us or a little higher. Yeah. Now, as a result of the pandemic, I don't have that kind of program right now. So I couldn't schedule the same way that I did in the past. But as far as road trips, we weren't able to fundraise in the past. That was due to my hard work and the program's hard work in fundraising to go to Vegas. Those trips cost like 25, 30,000, and I fundraise every single penny of it. I usually fundraise for this program 50 to 60,000 a year. And one of my proudest moments is that in my time here, I've raised over 750,000 for these kids. And when I all said and done, I'm hope to say that I've raised over $1 million. So we just didn't have the money to go on this trip right now. So the college wasn't letting me because there was no fundraising for a year and a half. So we are back up and running again with fundraising as of mid-October. And we've already had 2 and hope to have many more to get our program back to where it was, to have the resources to go away. So this was all we could afford this year. So usually in the past, we would go to Vegas and somewhere like where we're going now, and all. But right now, again, our program is not at that point due to resources and due to where we are as far as the youth of our program. So we took a year off. We're hoping that we raise the money and can be back out in Vegas in December of 2022.
Sounds good. Hey, don't want to forget about support from your family, Coach McBreen. If you want to talk about that, what they've meant to you, and especially, said in this past year.
My wife and my mom are my 2 biggest supporters. They're there at all my games. They've been there with me through thick and thin. They've been there with me through high school. My mom was. I only got with my wife towards the end of my high school career going into college. So, I mean, I appreciate all their support and having to deal with me after a loss or having to deal with me through adversity isn't always the easiest because I'm such a grinder and such a person that is detailed oriented. And when I lose, I only know one way and on one thing to do, and that's to work harder, which in turn takes me away more from my family. They've been very receptive and have worked with me because there's times when I get going in September where my wife, before she retired, really wouldn't see me much for 6 months from September until the time we got eliminated. So, I would come home from work and my wife was a school teacher. She would be sleeping when I would get home 10:30. And then when she got up in the morning at 5 o'clock to leave for work and leave by 6:30 or 6:45, I was sleeping. Okay. So we saw each other as one person was sleeping, one person was coming in, and as the other person was sleeping, one person was leaving. So it was not an easy thing. And to her credit, that's what she knew. She married a coach and she knew what it took. And she's been great. And my mom has been, rock solid for me. I am who I am with my work ethic because of my mom. So I'm going to grind. I only know one way and I'm never going to cheat the grind. And at the point that I can't give the grind and give the time to it, I'm going to step away and retire.
It's wonderful. Hey, I don't know this is the easiest question to ask, but like for you personally, what makes coaching basketball so special? I mean, after all these years, so you've been doing it for a long time, Coach. Just wanted to ask you that.
I'll probably say a couple of the main things is, number one, how can I impact the life of a young man and all? And I felt I could do that at the college level by teaching life skills. I felt my court is my classroom, and I think my players will learn more from me in 4 years than any class they would have taken at this college, because I'm going to teach them all the necessary life skills that they need to be successful with whatever they choose to do when they get out in the real world. So being able to teach these kids life skills, being able to provide experience that's amazing for them and seeing them prosper in this environment is really rewarding to me. The second one is the thrill of competition. I love to compete and all. Competing has always been important to me. So getting to do that every day, not as a player anymore, but as a coach, is really rewarding and all. And then third and all is just my passion for the game of basketball. I'm an energized guy. I bring enthusiasm and intensity. I have a passion. Some people, when they watch me coach or come to practice or games, they use the word, "Oh, that guy's crazy." I take offense to that because I don't consider myself crazy. I consider myself passionate. Okay. And a lot of coaches in college, people use the word crazy for. And again, I take offense to them using it, even if it isn't against me, it's against someone else, because they're not crazy. They are extremely passionate. They love the sport. They are trying to do the same things, teach life skills to these kids so that they get out there in the real world and they're going to be successful. And it's very rewarding when your players come back. Some of them don't see it why they're playing for you. It takes time for them to understand and mature and to get it. And some get it after they get out, but they come back and they thank you because they are extremely successful in their jobs. And it's because of what you put them through. You prepared them for that opportunity that they got. And then now they're able to succeed in that opportunity because you taught them about work ethic. You taught them about accountability, responsibility, being organized, being prepared, how to handle pressure situations, how to work together in a team environment to achieve a common goal. So you're teaching them these life lessons that they can take when they get out of there, and they can then be a good teammate, have a positive attitude, be unselfish, the things that we talk about. All these things lead to their success when they get out of here. And these are the things that I'm teaching them every day. Sometimes it requires tough love. So there's not every day that these kids are liking me, but that's okay. Once they mature and realize what I'm doing, they like me a lot for it.
Yeah, no, that's true. Hey, you have the last word, Coach McBreen, with, said the 2021-22 regular season home opener tomorrow night at the Bradley Center against Sarah Lawrence College with tip-off at 7:30 p.m. What's your message to the students, of Ramapo College, alumni, fans who will be in attendance, tomorrow and, for, as said, this season?
To be patient with this young group. It's going to be a learning process. Be patient with me. I'm still figuring this group out. They're still figuring me out. So I'd probably say the biggest word that we're asking everybody, from our players to the coaching staff to the fans and all, is just be patient. We're a work in progress. We got a good young group, high character, great attitude, and all. They all have humility, and we're going to do this the right way. I'm here, to work through this group. And I told them, as long as they stay unselfish and don't point fingers, we'll eventually get to where we want to go. It's going to take time. It's a process. There's a process. And because we're starting from ground zero, trying to build a foundation, a culture all over again, it's going to take some time, especially against programs that have 5, 6, 8, 10 seniors. I've gone on websites and there are programs that have that. So when you have 18-year-old young men trying to compete against 22 and 23-year-olds, it's not that easy. So we're going to stay the course. We're going to keep chopping. I stole that from Shiano, down at Rutgers. We're going to keep chopping, and we're eventually going to knock the tree down. We're going to keep chopping, and we'll be relevant in the near future.
Sounds good. Coach McBreen, absolutely a true honor and privilege, said interviewing you. Thank you so much again, for taking, said time out to speak with me, said about, said this year's team, said the Ramapo College, Roadrunners, said men's basketball team and, said past years and wishing you, said the rest of the coaching staff and all the players, said the best this season.
I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all the support that you have shown my program over the years. And you always have first access to me anytime you want to get it. So thank you for all that you've done for my program. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Coach McBreen.
All right. Thank you.